very good afternoon all. Welcome to the Learn and Master Circle session. As you all know already, the topic for today is factors affecting children's mental health during COVID-19 pandemic and its future impact.
Thank you very much.
Important topic, yes sir, and we have Dr. Gautam Anand sir to address the topic for today. The MD is psychiatry. He is a professor in HOD, Department of Psychiatry, the Srinagar Medical College and Hospital, UP. So sir, please start with the topic, and after that we'll take the questions from the audience. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, and thank you to all audience who are attending this speech. So let me introduce the topic: factor affecting children mental health during COVID-19 pandemics and its future outcome. Actually, see, there is no data to identify the problems, but here we can presume some data based on public census and measures. What are the current population, the children who are under 18 years of age? Let us know about that. 33.5% of the population of our country, that is under age of 0 to 14 years by the 2011 census. And today that is 41% population accounts for less than 18 years of age. See, since we are talking about the children mental health, that's why it is very important to know the population size of the children who are under 18 years of age. And simultaneously, we have to also recognize the growth rate, that is 0.8% per year. So that's why if you estimate this 41% of the total population by the 2011 censuses, then you can estimate the total number of the children who are underlying 18 years of age is about 41% of 100 crore population. That means 41 crore of the population, Indian population, that is lying inside the children age group. And they were growing about 80 lakhs per annum. So that's why since 2011 to till date, that becomes like a 10 year. That means 8 crore already has been grown by 2021. The estimated population under age, that was 41% of that population, that is not going to all account for the pandemic sufferings. So what may be the possibility that who will suffer more during this pandemic? Since let us start with this, like to understanding the growth and development pattern of the children. Those children, those who are less than 3 years of age, I mean 0 to 3 years or 4 years, or you can say like a toddler age group, those who are not exposed to the school at now, will have to develop the immunity. That's why they don't have immunity for the pandemic as such by the passive or by the active immunization. Even although the below 18 years of the all population, all Indian population, that is also will succumb to get pandemics infection, because they are not either been immunized or not been exposed with the COVID-19 infection till date. So if you think the age criteria, that is 0 to 4 years of age, that measures about 11 crore population of the India, and that will also a major vulnerable age group. Why? Because they are all are growing and developing. They do not have full immunization to the environmental infective organism that is present in the environment. And secondly, that is the 5 to 9 years of age, that measures about 12 crore by the 2011 censuses. Then we can estimate this 12 crore population, that is the 5 to 9 years of age, they almost all immunized with all kind of infectious disease except COVID-19. And finally, you estimate that a 10 to 14 years of age group, that measures 12.5 crore. That means these are the children that either been exposed to the infectious organism and getting the immunity by the immunization process, or getting the immunity from the other ones by the means of direct infection. Later 15 to 19 years of age group, that measures about 10 crores. These are the children. These are not children exactly. These are the adolescents. Those who are switching into the one phase to another phase, that is in the transitional state. They may have such kind of the immunity to combat all kind of infections present in the environment, and they will able to succumb with the situation and control their illnesses by self. But although all children, those who are below the age of 10 years, they are mostly being either cared by the mother, father, or whoever older in the family. So if you estimate the mortality during the pandemic 19, then we can estimate the total mortality as we taken from the adult data. That is a 10% will go the COVID-19 severe infection, but only 1% has the mortality, not morbidity. 1% will have suffered very, very severely, and they will go to the fatal end. There may have chances to have the end of the life, maybe by the 1%, as we taken the data from the adult. So here the paradigm is that the children, those who are 0 to 3 years, they are getting the infection. Okay, they are getting immunization by the process of universal immunization process, coverage, and then they are very much succumb because they do not have immunity status as like adult one, so that they are the more prone to be get infection, and they are very close to the parents, very close to the caretakers or care providers in the family. So once the person who has carrying these children, if have infection, they will spread the infection to these second groups, and these groups are also very vulnerable because they cannot be separated from the mother and the family members. Now the toddler and the young children is going to the school is also are a risk, but they have very less risk because they can take care by themselves and they can understand, but not completely fully to the COVID-19 infection, but they have tendency to develop the immunity very fast and very quickly than any of the children of other age. Now, if you think the factors, then we have to separate the factors. One is the primary factor and the second one is the compounding factors or the secondary factors. What are the compounding factor? Primary factor, that is, that social distancing that matters. We have already been learned and we talked very much about that social distancing and direct contacts and communication that makes also possible to getting infections. But the other compounding factor, that is the environmental condition. Environmental condition, that means since we are living in a tropical country, so that we have a very fluctuation seen every season end. There's a rise of the temperature or the decrease of the temperature, so that they may have chances to flourish the organism in the environment. And other sanitary condition as well, we can also find that where the sanitation is not good, aeration, ventilation is not properly been maintained in the houses, because even some houses do not have windows, and these houses are also not able to get a direct sunlight, so that very poor living condition were maintaining in the rural and urban areas and the slum area too. And another factor is the child hazard, because see how the child is old, that also important, because younger children are not able to maintain their hygiene. They do not able to wash their hand by itself. Even they do not put the mask on the nose and mouth as well. While talking, they used to pull down the mask from the nose and mouth while talking. So that's why these are the conditions that we can also take care of this. Housing is another, because a very close housing, overcrowded, less ventilation, less access to sunlight, not safe drinking waters and potable waters, that could also be affect and spread the infection in the children. Even room sharing with the children, that is also much crucial in the poor families, where there no proper space to putting the child in one room or providing their a separate room during the illness. So there might be a reason whether to influence the housing facilities in the family will affect the COVID-19 infection. Nutrition status of the children, that also matter, because see we are in the developing country, so that here most of the time that the children will not get good food, nutritious food, balanced food, or macro or micronutrients as well. So what happens, they will also affect the immune status of the children. Even although in our country there is a protein energy malnutrition and Kwashiorkor is also going up but now in these days we are overcoming this incidences of the Kwashiorkor and protein and malnutrition. So there may have chances to develop COVID-19 infection very severely, because they won't have much immunity, and development of the immunity is also found very low in those who are suffering from the nutritional deficiency disorder. So we have to also look and counterpart of this nutritional status of the children while talking upon pandemics of the COVID-19 infection. Then childhood chronic illnesses, because chronic illnesses as well, you can find that rheumatic heart disease or rheumatic fever, that could be a very possible reason to infecting the person, especially the children, because the children are on either on the antibiotics, prophylactic antibiotics, or may have certain kind of like steroids, whoever have also been suffer from COVID-19 infection. And one of the study that is also published in the Lancet in the last year, that also indicated that most of the children mortality had been brought by carditis, COVID carditis. So here we can also focus on this childhood carditis, childhood rheumatic fever, and the rheumatism, that could be a possible reason for higher rate of mortality in the children. Besides that, there is another thing we have to also look for. It is the thalassemia major and the minor, because we cannot forget this thalassemia major and the minor, because the children are especially requiring a very frequent blood transfusion, and this blood transfusion process may further worsen the conditions of COVID-19 infection and forcing the children towards a very brutal end, because the reason is, what I understand, is the thalassemia major or the major, and the children under blood transfusion, they need a very frequent blood transfusion to maintaining their oxygen concentration level. And COVID-19, that also induces platelet aggregation, so that the blood loss will be very faster in the children, those who are suffering from thalassemia major and the minor also. Next is immunization status, because see, many of the times that one infection will get, another infection will concurrently will happen. So if the children, those who are not fully immunized under the coverage, because either we going on the BCG immunization or like hepatitis viral infection, so there may chances to develop or contribute further and worsen the condition in those who are having a severe COVID-19 infection. And we initially talked about the behavior and the habits, because the child's behaviors and the habit, that also matters. Just by sipping nose and not able to washing hands, not properly maintain mask over the face and nose. These are the things that we have to look for to maintaining the COVID-19 behavioral pattern. How does it affect? Because see, the COVID-19 infection that has been taken place and affecting most of the domains of social, economic, and our personal livings. So here the most commonly affected among the children is the education, because the mode of the education is always in the classroom or the contact classes. But now in these days, we are facing the problems to bringing our children in the contact with the other people, so that to get infection and to minimize the infection COVID-19 by the virtual classes. So here we have adopted a pattern of education in the virtual classes, and this virtual classes means that they are promoting the staying of the children before the screen for longer time, so that the child may get mental fatigue very oftenly and very frequently. And after that what happens? After that, when the child switching out from class to leisure time, what the children has to do is to again sit before the screen, that is like a television, another gadget like a mobile and tabs. That could be one facilitating to engaging the children for the cartoon movies and other movies, so that they are keeping themselves busy. What we do in that condition, because here we have to change the pattern of the education by the virtual means. Each and every class would have a break, and during this break, the teacher has to perform the task to engaging the children and making them very pleasurable to watching classes. In between the class, there should be like a recreational activities so that the child will keep their mentally boosted up, not to being like a mental fatigues after the classes. Now academic performance, once we talk about, because things are virtual going, and we cannot find, and sometimes the teacher also fails to assess the all children's activity, because many times they miss their performances and assessments and assignments whatever they given in the last class. They wouldn't seen their task completed, so that many of the times the students, those who are not able to pay the attention over the screen, they miss the class, they will suffer a lot. And especially those children, those who are having a mild to moderate attention deficit disorders, and even although during this virtual classes it is very difficult to sustaining sitting before the screen for the longer time by the autistic and attention deficit children. Then another one is the disruption. Disruptions means disruption of the family environment, either in the case of loss in the family, or suffering from the COVID-19 infection by the to the parents, one of the parents or some of the family member will also disrupt and disharmony causes inside the family. So it will also affect the children's education and the learnings and the behavior of the children. Disruptions of the routine activity of the children, that could also be markedly seen in this pandemics, because many of the children are engaging themselves in the virtual classes, and after that classes in the leisure time they often been play before the screen like a television, watching cartoon movies and gadgets, so that they pay less attention, less able to fall in asleep during the night, so that the whole night that could be remain awake by the children and getting late in the morning. But here, because of the scheduling of the education and academics, so that they could help to maintain the sleep pattern in the children. But somehow this pattern will also be disrupted by because of the COVID-19 and virtual classes. Leisure time is also not spending with the playing, because indoor game is not always all the time to facilitated in the family, because too much of the family member living in the house, so that they will just making them to not to play much, but play less, play with those games those who are not being harm affect the others' livings, and so that the children are less able to spend their leisure times on the playing. Infectivity, that could be considered, because this COVID-19 infection during this pandemic, most of the family members are staying in the home, so that one get infection, so it may also spread the infection to the other people. So that even in these days, we are finding a lot of the cases that the whole of the family member will affected by COVID-19 infection. So once this has been coming or entering into the house, this means the whole family will affected by the COVID-19 infection. Social violation, because staying together all the times in the family, so that there always being like a quarrel, domestic violence and disruption in the family structures. They are involving in argument, so unable to maintain the family hierarchy, and it could be also affect the child's mental health. Emotion, again, because any of the family member who suffered a lot or who will get infection of the COVID-19, they will pay more attention. That's why the children or the kids, those who are living with their parents or the family and other family members, will less pay attention. So that's why either in the either form they will suffer emotionally disturbed. Then another one is because of the sharing room by the too many children in the family, in a single room, living in a single room. That will also influence sibling rivalry, because they always go in disputes and controversies, argument, and sometimes quarrel and violence also. So here in this condition, the parents should behave very tactfully. They must have to understand what the suffering, what the reason for their quarrels. They understand. They do not overcome the other behavior. They must have to enlighten the fault of any of the child. They do not punish very hard. Otherwise, this will develop the revenge activity into the children, and even early separation may be one of the reason which can be seen in later coming dates. We have already talked the increase the screen time, because living whole the day in the house, so that it increases the screen time. Disruptions and routine that we have already been discussed, and even although they have also affected the children's hygienes. Domestic violence, because living together in the family, less earning, economic crisis, that will also facilitating the domestic violence among the family members. Work unengagement and emptiness, that is one of the reason that causes a burden in the family, because family are living separate, even though neither the family member is visiting to their house. Grandmothers has not been living there. Other family members are not living along with the children. So that's why this causes unengagement, social unengagement and emptiness in the house, which also affect the children's mental health. What are the things that we have to decide? What the problem and what are the size of the problem? So first of all, while sizing the problem, we must have to increase our insight into the other accounts. Initially, we had found that the mental health, actually we do not have Indian data. It's a very frank to say that India doesn't have any mental health, children mental health data, because this domain is not much developed yet, and either none of the pilot studies or census study has been conducted from the last 10 to 30 years. Neither the whole nation hadn't been gone in measuring this mental health problem size in the India. So while sizing the problem, we have to certain presumptions that whatever the problem persisting in the community may be increased because of the COVID-19 infection. But what extent, we are unable to answer this question. But my presumption is that it will increase by the 2 to 3 folds. Whatever the problem existing today, as for example depression, then depression increased by the 2 or the 3 times higher than the usual days. Conduct disorder, that could be another possibility, because several times we are living together, other children and other siblings are going in the regular reaction, and they will able to develop the conduct disorder. But the most prominent symptoms, that is disruption of the social hierarchy, because they were not able to accept the young elder as a elder and younger as a younger. That's why this kind of the conduct can be possessed by the children in the future. And simultaneously, after when the pandemic overs, because this thing will going badly and affecting badly to the children mental health, another could be pay more attention is the substance use, alcoholism and smoking, that could be increased after the pandemic over. And those children, those who are witnesses their loss of their parents, their grandparents, any of the family members during these pandemics, might suffer from mourning, grief reaction, psychosis, and simultaneously they will have PTSD like syndrome. Then the question arises that will depressive feature remain the same in the children, and how do we recognize it? Because see, depression, ideally we are defining the depression like a symptoms of the depression must be present for the 15 days, and the symptoms may having like a persistent feeling of the sad mood, lack of interest, like loss of appetite, lose weight. These are the few points that we are recognizing in the depression. But what could be a possibility to have a symptoms recognition in the children? Because the children are not able to dictate their symptoms. So here we can pay more attention on the recognizing the depression in the children. During this pandemic, depressive syndromes will markedly be recognized by identifying changes such as a behavioral pattern, what the recent pattern and what was the earlier pattern, so that make a difference, identify the difference, how the child was behaving before this pandemics and what happens to the during this pandemics, and what the recent changes have been brought into the children behavior. So these will help you to identify the depression. What necessary changes that we look for sleep awakening pattern, because see, this is a very much common, because once we are correlating the symptoms of the depression, like the patient will unable to fall asleep or may get early in the morning. Could it be persisting in the children? Because the children, if your child is not falling immediately after going to the bed and spend some times to falling asleep, that could be a predictor for insomnia, initial insomnia like condition, and initial insomnia because of anxiety, and this anxiety because of any loss or any suffering or any sort of mishappening in the family. So that's why we have also look for the pattern of the sleep in the children, whether they are able to fall in asleep at a time and getting up in the time in the morning. So here we pay more attention on the sleep pattern, and simultaneously we have to also look for the routine activity, whether the child has follow the routine activity on their time or not, because many of the times they will delay the routine process by some hour, so that this will also give a clue to recognizing the early changes in the children. What does the children do? What do the children do after online classes when it finishes? Whether they pass the time sitting alone, not giving much time on the screen, not paying on the classes. You are getting the feedback from your child teacher. What does he say? She or he says, that also matter. Now coming to the PTSD. See here in the PTSD that we can also find the concurrent loss in the family. If the child is enough to understand the problem of the COVID-19, I think it could be better understood by the child older than the 8 or 10 years of age. They will have to suffer from the PTSD if there is a loss or the witness of the COVID-19 infection in the family. Mourning and the grief could be finally succeeded in that way, in the form of getting up in between the sleep with the screaming will also facilitate like a PTSD, and any of the mental health care of the children will have also look for these findings. Then another question that that have to generate while assessing the child mental health: has he or she spent dream-free night at? That means whether the children is able to have a very good sleep or sound sleep, or whether the children has gotten up with a screaming, then it could be a sign of the PTSD. Bed wetting incidences, again, because many of the children is able to wetting the bed before the 7 years of age. This comes under the elimination disorder. The incidences will increase when child will suffer from the either PTSD or from the elimination disorder or the reoccurrence of the elimination disorder. Anxiety, depression, and anorexia, because these things are very interrelated. So recognizing one symptom will give you the another symptoms clues. Okay, so here the food habit, what the food habit of the child is. So if you identify the food habit, what was the previous food habit before the suffering, and what is the food habit right now. So here if the children has developing anorexia, this could be because of the anxiety disorder, it may be one of the feature of depression, or it may be because of anorexia nervosa like condition. Anxiety, depression, and bedwetting, because see again I like to emphasize more how frequently he get up in the night for urination. If children move to urinate very frequently in the night hour, that means he is suffering from the anxiety disorder, or he may have a depression, he has difficulty in falling asleep. They will provide a clue to anxiety and bed betting. And if the frequency of the bed betting, initially it was like one or twice in a week. If it is more increased, then you can say its condition is the worsened. Even baby who has more than 7 years of age, initially he was not betting weight, but now in this time he has started betting weight. That means somehow it affects the mental health, and sometimes you look for the organic mental disorder because of the COVID-19 infection. Then it's like a problem size, because it's 1% of the whole of the infected children will go to the critical illness. So now we have to think for it. What is our preparedness? Because this episode of pandemics will go for 2 to 3 months of the time. So that here only the 2 to 3 months of the time that we have in hand, so that we have to look for our preparedness. What are our preparedness for our preparedness to overcome the pediatric mental health during the COVID-19 infection and COVID-19 infection too. So here we have to look for the medical audit, because see, our nation doesn't have any audit system till date to assess the medical facilities in our country. So we have to go for the medical audit, number of the pediatric beds, because 1 to 2% you have the sizing the problem of a district, and 41% of the population of the district will have a children. Then 1%, if you think that whole population